Welcome back to Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, Anime Review, episode number 30. We are reviewing the 33rd episode series, which is also the 9th episode of season 2, which means we have just a couple more episodes left to go before we incur one. I think so. Yes, I think it's probably going to be this month. And I think it's going to resume sometime later. I don't have a definitive date about that. Let's see, because basically... Let's see. I have heard presumably it's going to be 2 cores. I'm thinking presumably, unless of course they want to do 2 cores again, which I don't have a definitive answer for that. But there you go. This episode is called White Mask. It covers chapters 5 and 6, and I at least gotta praise this episode over the last 6 episode. At least this one didn't cut it as much as basically the last. Like, at least we have a whole character almost written a whole freaking episode. This episode is mostly focused on Fitz and Rudius. We start out with basically Fitz walking with Arrow and Luke walking the hallway, sees Rudius talking to one of the Beast Girls, who's apparently eating her drumstick. And of course, basically, she's nervous, and the fact that she hasn't told Rudius who she is yet. And she's worried Rudius may have forgotten about her. She's actually worried about that. And then Rudius talks basically about the mass teleportation incident. They continue investigating this episode. There's not much for action per se this episode. Well, actually, there's a tiny bit of action. A couple bits. Most of it's a lot of talking, but most of it's a lot of expansion of the material. Oh, by the way, where's that teacher that shot last episode? Yeah, he's like disappeared, not mentioning it here. If you're really curious, did they cut him out of the chapter from the chapters? No, they did it because he's not there. So, yeah, and of course, apparently Arrow gives Fitz her blessing to tell Rudius that she's basically her true identity. So, basically talking about someone who knows how to do teleportation. They do know one person, this person in a white mask. Someone called Silver 7. So Rudius goes see this person, and he immediately recognizes who it is. Basically, she's like in a tower, and knocks on the door, and he immediately screams, basically, because this is not Shia. This is a woman associated with Orsid, the man who nearly killed Rudius last season of the show, which... This is actually the start of something, basically, I'll get to. So he runs up, and of course, wakes up on Fitz's lap. And of course, you would think Leon Fitz's lap, you would notice that that's not a guy. That's probably, it's a guy. It's a woman, not a guy. So, basically, she basically explains her backstory. And when she sees Rudius, of course, she of course immediately recognizes him because basically Orson. Apparently, she actually came from Japan. She actually is from Japan. She's basically was teleported from another world, while Rudius was reincarnated. And here's the thing. They speak to each other in Japanese. Fitz has no idea what the heck they're saying because they speak a different language. Of course, they change it in the anime because in the book they said human tongue. In the anime it said local tongue. In my opinion, that's a terrific change. Because saying that human tongue, it's the same freaking thing. Local tongue is probably better, is a much better basically translation. I'm not sure why I think it's the Impress who basically does the translating for this one. Let me see here. It is, I think is it 7 Seas? Yeah, 7 Seas. I'm not sure why the heck they did that for. They call it human tongue, and I at least gotta praise the anime for this particular originality. Calling it local tongue was basically original. So basically, Nasha explains that she got ran out by a truck, and basically Rudy is hearing it like, yeah, basically he also got a traffic accident, And she basically is trying to find a way to return to her world. Rudius has no desire to go back there. Well, you probably think, why does he want to go back to his old world? Well, because basically in his old world, in his previous life, he was a terrible person. He didn't care about anybody at all. He basically, his only good deed he did before he died was save a teenage girl and run off by a car. And he also hates his previous look. He absolutely hates it. He also has she also says, what about your family? I have no regrets. So basically, he's staying here permanently. Now, if you're curious, though, the whole thing about her going back to her world, that is something that's still prevalent. They mentioned in the most recent book of the series where they actually brought that up. The whole thing about her, that's actually come into play here. They basically, it's a plot that they brought back up again in book 23. I, of course, not finished reading the book yet, but that's basically something they brought up in the book. So, she talks about she's been researching teleportation. And, of course, basically, she finds that Rudius was reincarnated. Basically, Ronda was a baby. And, of course, we get to die peacefully in his old world, in the old world. It's a very good conversation. It seems at one point Fitz is basically talking in Japanese, but I'm not sure what's going on there. Excuse me. I think it might be a mistranslation. Now, I'm curious how the heck this scene will be handled in the dub, given the fact that Rudius was originally Japanese. Of course, Nacha thinks that he originally was from America, Europe, even speaks Japanese. He's from Japan. So, then of course, it's revealed that indirectly she was responsible. Because of her, the mass teleportation incident happened. And Fitz goes basically nearly tries to murder Nacha. No, not trying to stop. Of course, Rudius stops her. And of course, basically, Rudy before this, basically, had told her, let's talk in local tongue. Because she has no idea what we're saying. Which, smart of him to do. And they chat for a while, and of course she calms down. Of course, she does apologize for attacking her. Which she easily forgives her. Well, she does anyways. And she apparently is in trouble with Ors the past couple years. And of course, basically, the reason why he remembers her because, well, what happened. The previous season, Ors nearly murdered him. That's what he remembers when he sees her. Because all things are because he's not around. As for where he is, he's probably traveling, presumably. The anime does not go into detail exactly where the heck he is. And if you're curious though, what book does basically Rudy see Ursa again? He decided to see Ursa into book 15. Yes, it takes that long to get back to him. Why does it take that long to get back to him? Because they haven't got that far yet. Basically, we're doing a bunch of different plot threads here, so we're just trying to continue that plot thread here. That's a plot thread for later. It's set up here to be explored later. That's one thing I do like about Mushoku Tensei, is that they set up major plot threads in some books, and they do, in fact, have a stretch up for a while. That's most of exactly what we have here. Incident First Return. And of course, he does ask, why does the man god and Orsid hate each other? She does not know exactly the reason why, but it's due to it's a personal thing. And of course, he obviously asks her, who transported her, because he can't tell that, because basically, well, can't say mention the name. It was definitely a good conversation. Of course, she agrees basically she has to him work with her, and he agrees, but he thinks it was over. It's been a long day, so they decided to basically call it a day. Okay, so she agrees, and of course, meet again soon. And then we have Rudius talk to Fitz about basically what he think of her, and he's like something rubs me the wrong way about herself when she doesn't think she does, but starting to trust her. So this is the beginning of something, and we might it seems as though this episode is setting up the next week's episode. which is something I have been looking forward to seeing in the anime ever since I read in the original light novel. I think it was about 2 years ago I read this book, book 9. But yeah, definitely good episode. Not much cut here. I'd say very little was cut. Yes, I'd say the adaptation of this one was handled a lot better than last week's episode. So, how far do I think they might get next week's episode? Well, they adapted chapters 5 and 6, obviously. So, I think that this might be shocking if they do this. I'm thinking they might do 7 and 8 next week. It is possible, or they can swap it around. But I have to wait and see exactly what they're going to do here. That's most of exactly what I'm waiting on. To see exactly what they're going to do here. What are they going to do? Well, we're going to wait for that for next week. So yes, that's that particular view. Next up is going to be One Comic Corner, and I'm definitely calling night because basically I do not have any time to work on the other ones. Here's kind of the thing. I might be able to work on them tomorrow because I do have choir practice tomorrow. So I probably will work at Eden Zero. I don't know if I'm case goes. If I'm not, I work on Wednesday because I have a lot more time Wednesday. So see you on the next video.